Buenos dias, Gunnerz Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like a torta with a bad habit. Buy up, buy up. In the Menudo style in direct fashion, we're going to get straight to the content of the day. But before we do, let me hit you with the nice, icy intro. Let's go. Welcome back to Gunnerz Collective TV. And if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure that you go ahead and do that. Put the notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content that the gun is kicking. Thank you. I'm very humble and I appreciate it. So I seen a video that was done this morning by Dubs, right? And you know, Dubs is my boy. I got nothing but respect. He's been where he says he's been, and I respect where he's been. And that's period, man. So it's time to get real. It's time to get real and give you my opinion, kind of a reaction to Dubs' video at the same time, give you a little bit of perspective of what I think about this guy, Renegade Media. Now, I don't hate Jay Hanss. Never have, never will. I got no hatred for that guy. Do I want to be around him? Do I want to be in his circle? Do I want to be living 5 blocks over from him? Zero, zip, nilch. Nope, no can do, don't want to. And I'll explain to you why. Because that guy has made a bed that nobody wants to lay in. Let's be real here. No hatred involved. Zero, none of that. That guy has said some things, some disrespectful things about some grown men on YouTube that makes people that have lived a life wonder. Okay? There doesn't have to be much more said than that. And I seen how Dubs did his video, and he was pretty adamant about the way that guy speaks in a derogative tone or a disrespectful tone, or tells stories or speaks on people's families that he's never been around, or that he's never done time with, or that he's only heard secondhand information about, or public knowledge. You know, I hear a lot of people say everything that Jay Hanss says is public knowledge. Well, that doesn't mean the public doesn't lie. That doesn't mean everything you read that the public says is the truth. Because I could hear a story this way from a news station, and I could hear a story that way, and everyone is speculating and has their opinions. And at the end of the day, there's a thing called vetting. You really have to vet the information you get if you're going to be putting it out there. There's a lot of times I put stories out there. I did yesterday where I have things misconstrued or wrong. It doesn't mean I'm trying to spread misinformation or anything like that. It's just sometimes we get it wrong. So you have to acknowledge you get shit wrong. You have to apologize for the people for spreading propaganda or bullshit, whether it be accidental or for reals, and keep it pushing. Live to tell a story another day, because we're all storytellers here. Now, whether your stories are true or not, or based on facts of reality, or they're false, well, it is what it is. It makes for good entertainment either way. The truth is this. When it comes to Renegade Media, it's a very controversial channel. There's a lot of speculation of where he's been, what he's done, and we could only take him at face value for his stories and what he says. And I'm not here to dispute if that man ever was what he says he was. I'm not here to dispute if a lot of the stuff that he puts out is actual and factual and based on real events. I'm not here to dispute none of that. I'm here to dispel people from believing bullshit, though. When I hear bullshit, I call bullshit. And my only thing with Jay Hanss is, look, I'm going to be totally honest with you. As far as him talking about other grown gentlemen, I'd be a hypocrite if I sat here and said there's different rules in the game for him compared to myself. When I talk about Big Boy, I've never had no interaction with Big Boy, nor Wes Watson, or any of these guys, right? And I talk that high-powered shit. I clown a little bit. But again, I'm doing it from a place of fun and to get some views. I'm honest, right? And also, it's just joking around. It's clowning. I'm not really trying to affect this man's livelihood. I'm trying to keep it real and save you from spending 3 thou on a fucked up phone call, because you're going to feel worse about yourself than you did when you call Wes. That's all I'm doing, right? But there's no hatred in my man, in this heart of mine for that man. There's no hatred in my heart for Big Boy at all, man. They could do what they do, continue to do how they do it, man. I'm going to continue to make videos and laugh about it and have a good time. Now, at the same time, with Renegade Media, it seems like there's a real hatred spewing towards active gang members or towards these active organizations or groups. Like there's really in his mind, I don't know if it's a Napoleon complex, but there's really a situation that's going on in his mind. He's fighting with the demons of wanting to still be perceived as a gang member or in that lifestyle. And the other side of the coin being the, like Dub said, the gang crusher. He wants to be the gang crusher. He wants to live his life to the fullest and prove to everyone, man, that he's doing a great thing for society by disrespecting and talking about these gangs to a point of, you know, making them look bad. People that he's never been around or never associated with, you know, telling stories and misjudging their character or putting extra tapatio on the hot, you know, on the taco, extra hot sauce. You know, when you talk about a man that you've never met, and you could talk about him all you want. That's totally up to you. That's perfectly fine. Doesn't matter his status in prison or outside of prison. It doesn't matter what he's done or hasn't done, or if you believe he's a real one. If you truly believe he's not, if you truly believe that he's a manipulator, that's up to you. You got to ride that wave. Cowabunga, Ninja Turtle, you got to fucking do that. But for you to start disrespecting that man's old lady or his family, or talk about his upbringing or how his father left him, you know, there's a lot of people that are on here right now that didn't have their two-parent home, that there was a lot of business going on behind the scenes when it comes to their parents or how they were raised. You know, I know a lot of Mexicanos, a lot of primos that I have, their moms or their dads was in and out of prison just like my father was. And thank God I had a good mother that took care of her 4 children. But there was, you know, mothers that just didn't have it like that, didn't see the reasoning behind it, didn't have that love in their heart for their children, or just weren't in a position to provide, and they were in and out of prison or addicted to drugs. So everybody's background in their life does make them the person they are. But at the same time, you can't disrespect a man, especially a man that's living that criminal lifestyle that you once lived when you were active, allegedly, you know, and play him out of pocket or disrespect him, especially if you don't know him, by saying his father wasn't there or his mother was this or his kids are that, or, you know, you can never talk about a man's family disrespectful and win out of that situation, especially when he's somebody, you know, deep down inside, you would never, ever, ever have the courage to speak to or about face to face. Now, there's a lot of people that don't like Jay Hanss Renegade Media for whatever reason. He says a little too much, a lot of people say. Okay? I, for one, don't give a fuck what he says. That's his own position that he's playing. If it's helping him get the bag, if it's helping him to push this narrative of being a gangbuster, if it's helping him if it's therapeutic for him to talk about other gang members and try to tear down these groups by putting a bad taste in people's mouth towards them, well, that's on him. He's going to reap what he sows, and ultimately it's going to be his decisions that he makes to put out the content he does, and it's going to be the repercussions that happen to him. Now, I get what Dubs is saying as far as it affects everybody in the genre. We are in a prison genre, meaning most of us that are on here speaking on past prison stories and experiences have done real time, okay? We are judged and looked at differently from regular society and the community. It doesn't matter if we're not active, doesn't matter if we're still gangbanging, doesn't matter about none of that. The fact is, we are still looked at differently. We are still always trying to prove ourselves to ourselves that we are now conforming to the rules and laws of society, rather than just being an ex-gang member or a current gang member or an ex-convict out there still doing the same old shit, okay? You can't have your cake and eat it too. That's one thing I noticed about Renegade Media, is he seems to want to have his cake and eat it too. Now, one guy got at me and was like, well, he wears red all the time. Well, so do I. Colors don't mean shit, okay? But you're not going to see me constantly glorifying myself and pushing myself above while standing on the heads of others. That's one thing that I don't agree with them about. You know, I'm not going to talk about I was a shot caller everywhere I went. I was running the program. I was doing this. I was doing that. And then when there's guys that are really in real life in those positions actively right now, shit all over them for the same things that you were doing. So if you feel that way about them, what makes you feel so differently about yourself? You were contributing to the dredge and the bullshit of society. You need to wear that hat. You can't place that hat in someone else's head because it fits, homie. It fits. You know, one thing about me is I'm never going to glorify or bash other people to make myself look better. I talk about my L's as well as my W's, and there's a lot more L's than W's. That's just how it worked out for me. I'm not scared to say, hey, there was plenty of times I didn't win them fights or my voice wasn't heard on that yard. look it, I lived a pretty heavy life. I was heavily involved with the Norteño movement. That's 100% facts. You could dispute it all you want because you don't like me. You could base it off my YouTube character and judge me. But those who've really been around me and know what time it is, know exactly what it is. No glorifying, no bullshitting. I'm two different people. When I'm in prison, I'm super secular. When I'm not, I'm a hardliner in prison. When I'm not, then I'm just not. I could be my true self, which is someone out here having a good time, raising his family and paying attention to the things that matter to me the most. In prison, all I cared about was the achievement and the push of my people, and nothing else really fucking mattered, okay? And so I had my game face on because I understood I was in a dangerous situation, more so with my own people than anyone else. Because usually, 9 times out of 10, the people whacking you are the people you're closest to. This is the knowledge you can't get in college, the game I'm giving you, okay? And even with all the 19 years of incarceration that I did on the installment plan, right? The Youth Authority, Tracy Prison, Jamestown, SAT-F, Susanville, Corcoran, all these different facilities and prisons that I've been to, not including out of state, doing time in Oregon, doing time in Washington. I can tell you guys this much. I learned a lot. And even with all that, pretty heavy into the Norteño cause, functioning with the regiment on the streets, doing a lot of things, I never, ever, ever was in a position of authority as far as the overall. I never was shot calling. The highest level I achieved was the yard security, a YS. I was a building channel a couple of times, TS and a YS. And I was in the mix pretty heavy. The thing with me was I was always kept at a distance because I was a little too boisterous and a little too rowdy when it came to it. I was like, kill him, fuck him. Didn't want to give no one due process or vet. None of that. Just let's get straight to the business. That was my downfall ultimately by voicing my opinion. I didn't like drug usage. Never included or programmed with drug addicts in my cell or participated in them shenanigans. Now, when it comes to Jay Hanss, he's openly admitted to being addicted to heroin in prison and intravenous drugs. That's his thing. Can't knock a man. I got a lot of family I love that use the needle. But he knew as a Norteño, a true one who allegedly was in leadership positions everywhere he went, that he was fucking up. So to be whacked, to be removed from the cause, that shouldn't have been a surprise. That was coming eventually. You get to the wrong yard, doing the wrong things. You can't twist it and turn it and say, oh man, I was this, I was that, and this is they whack their own people. Of course, there's rules in the gang life. There's rules in prison. As a Norteño, a Southside, or whatever you are, if you are going against the grain in them rules, what are the expectations? What do you expect? Exactly. Now, I have a bone to pick. It's not even a bone to pick, but this is the one thing I want to say about the Jay Hanss Renegade Media. The boss of all bosses, the top dog, according to him, allegedly, right? He has self-proclaimed himself the super shot caller. The Wes Watson of the Norteños, right? I'll tell you guys this, and this is truth. I don't know whether that dude was in leadership positions or not. I don't know if he ever was an hermano or not. It's not my business to research him or know or care. But let's be honest here. I've been around a lot of heavy-hitting Norteños, real solid ones, as I'm sure he has, being locked up. There's no disputing or denying that. And there's certain qualifications you do have to meet, certain ways you're supposed to carry yourself. And I'm going to be real, bro. Neither me nor you, Jay Hanss, seem to have had those qualifications, bro. Let's be honest. Let's be real. I could tell just by looking at you, man. Your mannerisms, you're quite feminine, bro. Like, I'm being honest. I'm not hating. I'm not trying to clown. You got feminine characteristics about you that would make the homeboy say, Charlie, Holmes, we don't want to be represented like that. That's it. You know, I'm not here to say you weren't or you were. I'm just saying, in my perspective, that's how I look at it. That's the fucking truth. You can say whatever you want about me, clown, cat, whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm just giving you my fucking perspective. I don't dislike you. I just don't want to be around you because you're in a bad position right now. The pole position you're playing is on the outside, homie. Straight up. Now, I seen something that really made me say, wow. And this is besides the video Dubs did. And I understand why Dubs did it. You know, I understand the distaste Dubs has for this guy's character. Not for him, you know, personally, but for some of the things he says. One thing is this, man, that I have to say. I'm going to call bullshit right now and a lie. I seen a video Jay Hanss did, man, because I tap in. I watch Renegade Media from time to time. You know, just like anyone else, some of the things he puts out there are intriguing. I want to watch. Everybody likes drama. Everybody likes bullshit, right? So when I'm watching, you do a video talking about being an insoldado. See, when I was locked up in my time, there was no such thing as an insole. That's not the name that we had for it. You were a B, an hermano, a brother. You know what I mean? You were part of, you know, the Northern Structure, which of course was disbanded, the NR, Nuestra Raza, whatever name you want to give it. You were a bro. And I had the privilege of being associated at a very high level and being pulled. So I know the pulling process. You know, it's not like pulling teeth. You know, back in my days, you know, and without putting too much out there, but I guess I'm going to put a little bit for the context of this content. No disrespect to the Norteños still doing their thing. I know it's much different now. But back then, you had to be associated with, respected, carry yourself a certain way. And when you were pulled, we used to call it two B's and a C, meaning two brothers had to literally sponsor you or pull you into the mix, and it had to be stamped by a C. That means a carnal, and we know who that is and what they represent. Had to stamp that and verify, yes, man, you had the qualifications, you were educated enough, you were given a bundle. Of course, you know how to read your bundle and what that entailed. I'm not going to put that out there. And then if you met the qualifications, they felt that you had the standards and you were dedicated solely to pushing the movement, to establishing yards, to educating, fucking being a maestro and educating the young homies coming up. And you just had that leadership quality is what they were looking for, amongst other things. Then yes, you were in. But I seen a video Jay Hanss did where he says that because he was the authority in charge, that you would basically have to put in a resume or an application to be pulled as a B, as an insole. Now, I don't know if that's some new fucking Burger King bullshit that they're doing now where you have to fucking, hey, homie, so is this the line that I get in to be an insole? Like, I want to fucking put it in my resume. Forget the fact that I programmed on an SNY yard and this and that. I just overlooked that, right? Is that how they do it now? I doubt it, man. That right there is self-glorification, making it seem like you are above everyone else. And because you had such supreme power, supreme commander, I guess, since Babel, right? That you can easily pull anyone just based upon the resume that they're putting into you or the application. Application? Motherfuckers are trying to work at Kmart? No, it's a different process. It's more intricate, more detailed than that. Give the Norteño cause the benefit of the doubt, bro. Stop disrespecting gente and people because you got whacked or removed for drug usage. That shit is on you. How many times, Jay Hanss, did you, just like me, when we were in a different position, smut someone up or not give a fuck about their career? So to sit here and say, oh man, the homies do you dirty, it's all disloyalty, distrust, and these groups are bad, and these groups are this, and they're tecatos, and this, and this, this, and that, when you were doing the same shit, or even more so, because that's personal. You know exactly what you were doing. You don't know what the other guys are doing. You're just assuming because you did it, they did it like that. That's the truth. You know, you disrespected the Norteños pretty heavy, man, the other day, saying that anybody can be an insole, anybody and their old lady. What the fuck's that supposed to mean, bro? Does that mean like you're better than them or what they're doing? Like, I don't understand, like Dub says, why this guy continues to hate these groups and they're not talking about you. You know, there shouldn't be that hatred in your heart, bro. You got removed because you had it coming, whether you truly choose to believe it or not. Just like myself. Yes, I was going against the grain on that yard. Yes, I could sit here and say, hey, and I could tell you two wrongs don't make a right, but I could sit here and say, hey, you know what, man, I should have never been put in a position where I had to go out in the yard and take flight. I should have never been put in a position. The fact is, I was already in that position because I couldn't keep my fucking mouth shut, because I went against the grain with the homies. Maybe I should have just shut up, right? The fact is, the way it worked out for me, I'm glad it worked out for me like that. I got mine, they got theirs. We went to the oil and career was over. That's it. I still was in prison. I still had heart of a lion. I still believed in what I believed in. I just was no longer embraced by the cause, and I could live with that. I don't need to disrespect them dudes because I understand every position that I put myself in, I put myself in. So I don't understand, Renegade, this newfound crusade against these active gangs. You know, to me, I'm going to be honest with you. I talked to somebody who's still active, still in the mix, right? And he told me, he was like, hey, bro, you watch this dude, Jay Hanss? I said, yeah, from time to time. I've talked to him on the phone in the past. I watch him. I don't agree with a lot of things he says. I think it's very detrimental to his safety and security. I think he's being utilized to spread misinformation and propaganda. I think a lot of things, but that's just me thinking. And he goes, you know what, bro? I think he's pushing degenerate fucking ways. He said, for someone who's no longer a Northern rioter or no longer active, he's pushing degenerate politics on YouTube. And I said, it kind of seems that way. You know, when you're talking about these organizations and these active gangs and putting them down and disrespect, look at, again, gangs are not good. Okay, they ruined my life. But did they or did I? You got to be accountable. I ruined my own life by involving myself. I had opportunity and choice. Could have went to the army. Could have went to be a basketball player. Could have got in jiu-jitsu and trained with Cain Velasquez, but that didn't work out for him because his ass is in Soledad, right? I could have did a lot of things, but instead I chose to hang out on the block, sell dope, and be a gang member. So everything in my life that has made me the man I am, I thank the people I was around because I chose to put myself in that position. I could be in a way more shittier boat doing life all day long, sitting down as an active gang member, miserable, right? But instead, I'm in my family's life, in my kids' lives, and I'm in your life. And I appreciate you guys for all the fucking hospitality I get by allowing me to be in your home every day watching my videos. This is just facts and the truth. Jay Hanss, I really have no animosity towards, but there are certain things that he says and does as a disgruntled person that makes me wonder, why are you so mad, bro? Shake it already. Shake the cobwebs off. Stop being upset with active gang members. Stop being upset with anybody. You didn't make the cut. It's no big deal. Neither did I, hey? So I can't. It is what it is. But just don't think because you have a little YouTube platform and you're semi-popular and you think you're a rapper with Elmo dancing in the background that you're fucking anything better than anyone else, because I'm here to tell you and bust you down. You're not. You're not. There ain't nothing more you did. I did all these stabbings. I did all this. Why weren't you validated? Why weren't you in the shoe? If you were so high-powered and so crazy and a shot caller, why the fuck weren't you validated? I'm here to tell you right now, I've been around a lot of Norteños, and I could speak on the business, and I'll say this. A super Norteño, someone who was really with the fucking shenanigans and the shit, didn't last but a few months on the yard without getting validated. Why? Because most of the time our own people were telling on ourselves. Straight up. Didn't want a real motherfucking a hardliner on the linea. Didn't want a knucklehead on the linea. So how is it that you were in a leadership position, calling all these cuetes and doing all this everywhere you went, yet you were never validated? Your ass was up in Arizona. You were over here. You were on the level 3 there. So ultimately you went to SNY. Like, I don't get it, how you were some super mega shot caller. But that doesn't, from here to there, that doesn't mean shit. What means shit is the shit that's coming out of your mouth when it's pertaining to these dudes that are still actively involved. Why are you speaking on their current issues? I don't give a fuck if it's public knowledge. All public knowledge ain't to be regurgitated by someone who isn't in a position to regurgitate it. You can tell your stories and have a good time, man. And there's a lot of stories that I like, truly. But there's a lot of things that you say that I'm just like, wow. Like, you're trying to make these active gangs look as bad as you can. And in the guys that you're trying to help the youth. But when it comes to shit that happened with you, it's all high powered. It's all cool. It's cool to be you, but it ain't cool to be them. I don't get it. With that being said, I know I'm going to get a lot of hatred. I know there's going to be a lot of people. Why are you talking about him? He don't talk about you. Oh, he does it to you. He does it behind the scenes on the phone with a certain individual that already let me know. Thumbs up or thumbs down. See, Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly believe in, homie. And that's the betterment of all people, active and non-active and retroactive and fucking radioactive and all of that. Because at the end of the day, man, if you keep it respectful, you'll get respect. If you keep disrespecting, well, you already know what you're going to get. We can't put that out there.